Welcome back to DecoyNoise, where today we're looking at 3 stories from r/Am I the A-hole. But first, we gotta give out today's ever-coveted Decoy coin, and today's winner is Coco Girl Love. Coco Girl Love is a member of the Decoy Court pond that is always giving great feedback every single day, and we appreciate you for being a positive member to this community. So if you, just like Coco Girl Love, want to win that Decoy coin, make sure you subscribe down below, make sure you turn on those notifications, and make sure you let me know in the comments section that you are joining the Decoy Court pond. So today's featured story is: Am I the antagonist for forcing my kids to do chores in a hot dog costume as a form of punishment? So OP writes, I know this isn't quite high stakes as most of the other posts here, but I'm curious. My kids are 13 and 7. So, over the course of the quarantine, my usual punishments don't carry the same weight. Grounded? They've practically been grounded since March by the government. Lose their devices? They've been completely consumed by the void of boredom, so it's barely a drop in the bucket. Stand in the corner? Life is heck, so it's good practice. Wow. So nowadays, when they get in trouble, they have to finish their chores in the hot dog. 2020 might have desensitized them to boredom, but not embarrassment. We're locked down pretty tight over here, so it's just mom and dad and embarrassment, not public humiliation. So, am I the antagonist? They included a picture of the hot dog suit, but I think it's them, so I'm not going to dox them in that way. So taking the case and rushing over to Decoy Court is kudos creativity. It's not like they're making the kids go out into public and wear the hot dog costume and like beg for change outside the freeway off-ramp or something. That'd be terrible. But I mean, just a situation where they are just figuring out a creative way to make their life a little bit more difficult if they do something wrong. I mean, it seems pretty fair that just adding a hot dog costume, depending on how like ill-fitting it is for them, is a thing. So I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say not the antagonist, but maybe we're just not seeing it from every single angle. So the decoy defense would be, what if the hot dog costume wasn't just a regular hot dog costume where it's just the hot dog costume is where they used to put their old dog in it. It sheds all this fur and pet dander, and both kids are horrendously allergic to dog fur. That's why the dog is gone. And the idea is they got to go in the hot dog costume because it's going to make them all itchy and scratchy, and their nose is going to run, and they'll just pass out in the street like all the kids in that video game The Sims are, where like if they're not finished with their chores, they don't go to sleep, they just knock out wherever they are. So that's my thoughts on it. Make sure you guys are taking that brief recess right now, and let me know your thoughts down below for story number 1, hot dog punishments, okay, or a violation of the Geneva Convention. So let's go ahead and go over to those top comments right now, which is, LOL, I'd die if I saw a kid raking leaves in a hot dog costume. No antagonist here. And the next reply is, I'm a little sleep deprived, and this whole concept is making me laugh a lot harder than it is strictly warranted. Like there's so many stories on the sub of parents removing doors, taking away technology, turning the Wi-Fi off, taking away books, and then there's a hot dog. I love it. And I have had a neighbor that had that, who watches this channel, that had his door taken away as a punishment, and I don't think it quite did what the parents thought it was going to do. Next top comment is, not the antagonist, LOL. Very funny because it's harmless. It's a good way for them to know that their actions have consequences. Very good form of punishment. And the reply by OP is, that's my thought. They're not doing anything extreme, so it's not like we have to have major interventions about their behavior. I also don't want to rely on taking away their technology because, in my opinion, that's cruel right now. They have me and dad for company, and occasionally we'll have friends in the backyard fence. I have to come up with something that they won't resent but still says, hey, you're in trouble. They don't even get extra chores. Just a hot dog. So I mean, that's true. It's a good thing that's down the middle where they say they don't want to be too cruel. They have the technology and the parents, so they have to have something extra. I mean, I like it. It seems that it's a good punishment in the new generation. I guess they said it's not an extreme punishment because they're not doing like terrible things. Maybe they're just not like taking out the trash or making the bed or something like that. So a hot dog would be reasonable, but I could see if it's like one of those situations where it's like, oh yeah, you robbed a bank, okay, wear the hot dog and sweep the leaves. That would be nonsense. But let's go ahead and shoot over to those controversial comments and see what they're saying over there, because they're getting heavily downvoted. The top controversial comment is, you're the antagonist. Punishments that are amusements to the parents and humiliating to the kids are not cool. In this case, you're bored with life and you've taken to making your kids do humiliating things to amuse yourself. But this is so far-fetched, I'm not even sure I believe it. No, I believe it. This is just probably a parent thinking outside the box of hot dogs. But the next top controversial reply is, I'm not loving it, so mildly you're the antagonist. Punishments based on humiliation aren't great, but seriously, how do you punish them if they refuse to wear it? You've already played your last card. And the reply from OP says, it's been a few months and there hasn't been any refusal to wear it, but it helps the punishment isn't in the moment. They'll get in trouble, usually during school hours because it's difficult to stay on task. Or they'll be told, okay, when you do your chores, it's the hot dog. I've been quarantining in the apartment with them for the entire year, and I've had managed to avoid meltdowns so far. Honestly, it's a good way to the, like, hey, you've messed up a little, but this year has been hard, so here's a mild punishment. Of course, I have other things in place if they're truly disrespectful, but I haven't had to fall back on those yet. Okay, so I get that. Where there's nothing big, there's nothing huge that's terribly going wrong. So this is a good middle point for them to do. I mean, I guess there would be a nuclear option for the hot dog, where it's just like they wear the hot dog all day, not just direct leave. So I mean, I imagine this was a good, creative way to punish them, and Decoy Court is going to stand firm with the not the antagonist movement, as well as maybe no antagonists here. Even the kids, when they're all locked up in the whole, like, cooped up in the house all day, they're going to mess up, so it just makes sense. So let's go ahead and shoot over to that second story of the day, which is, am I the antagonist for reporting my daughter's teacher for forcing my daughter to write an essay? So Reddit has already claimed that they're not the antagonist, but Decoy Court needs to make their decision. OP writes, my daughter, a 10-year-old female, is in 5th grade this year during the wonderful lockdown. She has been doing distance learning the entire school year. I have had several issues with this teacher since the start of the school year. I have spoken to her numerous times when things have come up. For instance, her teacher has told the students, including my daughter, to use Google whenever they need help figuring out a math problem while they're in school, rather than asking for her for help. She also always has her mic on, which wouldn't be so bad, except she's talking badly about parents saying horrible things about the kids. I don't know if she realized her mic was on at the time, but it was extremely inappropriate to say the least. She was very vocal about her political beliefs to the kids. Any kid that showed a different opinion was put on mute. I'm a firm believer that teachers should not vocalize their political beliefs onto children. It's a very touchy subject for most people, especially now when the teacher should remain neutral so as to not sway young minds. Each time I've emailed her about it, I get it. This is all new to us and mistakes happen. It is a learning curve for all of us, and that is okay. However, my daughter recently came to me because her teacher is now forcing them to write an essay about how they should get rid of turkey for Thanksgiving this year and go full vegetarian. This essay actually says that eating meat is unhealthy and goes on to talk about how unsanitary it is and how turkey contains salmonella and can kill you, and turkeys are killed inhumanely. It says to find the research to back up these claims and explain why it's better to be vegetarian. My daughter was not happy, as turkey has always just been a tradition for our family. When my daughter brought it up to the teacher, my daughter suggested we could write an essay about having turkey as a family tradition, or about the pilgrims, or about why turkey is a tradition for Thanksgiving. Her teacher told her if she did not do the assignment as given, she would be given an F. When she told me and then she showed me, I was taken aback and quite unsure on what to say. I've never had a teacher be so blatant with their personal beliefs and then shove them onto the kids for a grade. She's already told my daughter she would fail her if she didn't do the assignment the way the teacher wants, so I'm unsure if speaking to her privately would be beneficial to my daughter. Would I be the antagonist if I reported her directly to the principal for forcing my daughter to write this essay? So taking the case and rushing over to Decoy Court, and I can't be an unbiased Decoy Court judge right now because I am a huge fan of meat. Maybe not the biggest fan of turkey, but bacon, burgers, and everything that comes from those magical, sad, tragic animals. I mean, I'm in favor of, and I feel bad because I've grown up with, dogs, cats, horses, and everything, and it's like a situation where it's like, why do we just arbitrarily decide which animals are friends and which animals are food? And I feel like in the future, some point in time, we'll be like, oh my god, we were doing these horrendous things to animals. So I understand both sides of it, where I like animals, I like to eat animals, very sad, but I also know why people wouldn't want to do those horrendous things to things like turkeys, But also the situation is, this is not the place for a teacher to be teaching the kid their nutrition and how to live their life and how to celebrate holidays and how to rise up against and get educated on how your family is a terrible environment to be in for Thanksgiving. I hate everything about that. And I don't think they would be the antagonist for talking to the teacher saying, hey, teach them math, teach them geography, teach them science. Don't teach them that, hey, your family's wrong and everything about that. Maybe if there was an option, the kids would come to that conclusion, but not, hey, you either think everything I think and do whatever I want as the teacher, or I fail, you get an F. I say that, OP, you would not be the antagonist for going directly to the principal because they need to get those checks and balances. But for the decoy defense would be a situation of, maybe this is a situation where the teacher is on the cutting edge of like this year's turkeys because of the lockdowns and everything, that they were raised in very different circumstances. And it's not just vegetarianism overall, it's just for this particular thing because they realize that they have an inside tip that the turkeys for this Thanksgiving weren't raised in a clean environment as if they had before. So maybe that would be a reason why they wouldn't be the antagonist. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the Decoy Court stands firm. Let me know, take a brief recess on what you think down in the comments right now on story number 2, teaching kids to not enjoy turkey. But let's go ahead and shoot over those top comments saying, not the antagonist. I agree that the assignment is unreasonable and the teacher is pushing her beliefs on the students. A more appropriate essay would be present the pros and cons of having a turkey at Thanksgiving and explain why one should or one not. And that's what school should be, learning something and just being that way. So the next top comment has this heart and word thing going on, but they said would not be the antagonist here. And I say this as an extremely strict vegetarian myself. This teacher has repeatedly abused her position of power over her students, and it's disgusting. She has every right to have her beliefs and express/enforce them in her own home, but she has zero right to do this to her students. You've gone the correct route by trying to talk with the teacher the first and multiple occasions, and now it's time to go higher up. I hope you saved all the emails back and forth because a principal may want them to support whatever reprimand they enforce. I would also talk about her inappropriate behavior of talking poorly about parents and students while conducting class. She can say whatever she wants outside of class time, but when she's wearing her teacher hat, she needs to be a professional. And I agree everything with that right there, where it almost seems like it's just this teacher probably doesn't even want to be doing this job anymore at that point. They don't like the Zoom classes. They don't like being on mic all the time. They're just like pushing around the kids like, yeah, don't eat meat. And also here's my political beliefs. And also I'm going to talk trash about your parents and I'm going to keep the microphone on. This just sounds like they're not enjoying themselves anymore. Let's go ahead and shoot over to those controversial comments and see what they're saying over there. Not the antagonist. This year, teachers are being bold about their political and personal opinions. My 7-year-old daughter is talking about how Trump and eating meat is evil and racist. She said her teacher told this during school time. I really hate this since the school is not political time. And it's true. It's like there's going to be different beliefs on everything and everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but using the government's time from the school to teach your own personal beliefs about eating meat is just not where they should be getting that. And the next top comment is not the antagonist, please get this teacher fired. Another controversial comment is report her, then give your daughter a turkey leg to eat on camera, which would be too much the other way. But I think Decoy Court is going to stand firm with, maybe the teacher is just having a hard time. They need to learn how to exist in this new generation of school teaching on camera with webcam and microphones and stuff like that. So I would like to see them get some slack if they can just immediately turn around after they have a discussion with the principal, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But let's go ahead and go to that third and final story of the day, which is, am I the antagonist for telling my sister that my husband isn't her husband? OP writes, I'll just get straight to the issue. My 33-year-old female sister, a 28-year-old female, recently rented an apartment in our neighborhood. She moved out after she broke off her engagement with her fiancé of 4 years. She has a demanding job and she works long hours as a nurse and added more days of work to be able to pay for rent. I'd cook her meals once or twice a week, and my husband would take them to her. I'd show up and clean the apartment for her out of respect for what she does, which is pretty stressful. I knew she was struggling, so I did all I could. She'd come over whenever she has a day off to thank us for giving her meals and helping her out with the apartment. However, after a week or so, I noticed my husband cooking whenever I say I didn't want to, saying my sister could use a homemade meal. I'd call him to see where he was and if he comes home to tell me my sister had him clean the basement so she could move the rest of her things. She called him and had him carry boxes for a whole day. She'd call him and she'd call him and not me to bring her a charger because she forgot hers at work. It's like she completely forgot about me. I went to have a talk with her and she barely found the time to speak to me. I asked her why she didn't call me when she needed something but was calling my husband. She said she didn't notice and that I might be busy with my son, though my husband would help with him too. I told her to call me if she needed something and to let my husband get some rest from working all week. She said okay, but it got too much when she called my husband's phone when he was napping and I answered for him. She told me her kitchen faucet needed fixing and messing up her kitchen, so she called my husband to help her fix it. I told her he was napping and he wasn't feeling well since the morning, but she kept saying just a few minutes, it won't take long. I reminded her that she should have called my phone, but she said that fixing the faucet was men's work. Anyways, I gave her the number of a plumber we know, but she complained about the plumbers taking a lot of money. I snapped and told her my husband isn't her husband and she should call whenever she needed something. That just because she lives near, she gets to have him work for her. She got upset and I haven't spoken to her since this conversation. My mom knew and berated me. She's my younger sister, that she's going through a lot and I needed to help her. She told me I hurt my sister with my comment and that I needed to apologize to her. Edit. To say that she rented a ground floor apartment, it's not a storage room that looks like a basement, and obvious she's struggling with rent because I think it's expensive, but it was her decision, so I can't comment on that. Also, those of you asking about her landlord to handle maintenance, I honestly didn't think about it because I never lived in an apartment, and I don't know whether her landlord is even aware of these issues as she quickly resort to us for help, but I'm definitely bringing it up to see what the issue is. So, taking the case over to Decoy Court on whether or not they're the antagonist, yes, they're helping the sister, but the sister is overstaying her welcome in their good graces in the sense that, yes, they're going to help her move, yes, they're going to cook her some meals, yes, they're going to clean up because she's a nurse and she's picking up extra hours, but not the whole, oh yeah, you called the husband over to come take care of quote-unquote a man's work. Like, what weird adult fantasy is this over here where he's like, oh yes, we have a faucet that the landlord needs to fix and that's their job to hire the plumber, but no, OP's husband, they need to do all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and say, OP, you are not the antagonist for putting your sister in kind of the place they need to be. It's a harsh world right now, and it's a harsh situation that she needs to be communicated that, but it's going to happen eventually. I'd go ahead and say that the decoy defense is the inverse of that. Is what if the husband is just always hanging out over there and the OP is just not noticing that the husband spends a lot of time over there moving quote unquote boxes, fixing quote unquote a faucet, and also being kind of tired and is always going over there even after a long day's of work, and now he's offering to cook her meals when she's not even saying that they should be doing that. Maybe there's something else going on and now OP's just blaming the sister because OP doesn't want to blame the husband right in front of them. Not saying the decoy defense is something that's true, but just, in the air, just throwing stuff out there, possibly a defense. So again, with story number 3, we'll take a brief recess. Let me know your thoughts down below. For story number 3, the husband fixing the faucet, is that something that should be done or should you be lashing out on your sister? Let me know in the comment section down below, but let's go ahead and shoot over to those top comments right now, which is not the antagonist, but are you sure she really need him to fix the faucet? And the next type of comment is, I'm thinking the same thing, kind of something in the back of my head. I don't want to project anything on there, but it seems a bit far-fetched to happen so often. The next top comment is, your sister is not going to give herself limits, so you need to set boundaries with your husband. He needs to know how you're feeling and why you don't feel their relationship is appropriate. You sound like you're feeling insecure, which is fine, but you need to explain what he's doing with your sister that makes you feel bad, not the antagonist. So I agree with that, with the whole situation of, hey, she can't control what the sister wants and what the sister does, but she is in a relationship with her husband. So there should be very clear communication as to what he should be doing and how frequently it should be. So that's the top comments. Here's some controversial comments because I imagine they're going to be much more interesting in this particular post. Top controversial comment is, are you sure there isn't something more going on between your husband and sister? Red flags kept popping up while reading your post. You might want to quietly investigate. I also highly recommend making surprise visits when you know your husband is at your sister's apartment. I sincerely hope nothing's going on, but it most certainly sounds like it could be. So, the whole trust but verify situation, I do kind of agree with this, not to the point where, OP's just going to have blinders on and not see what's occurring right in front of her face, but possibly, maybe, who knows. But the next top controversial comment is, my alarm bells are ringing here. Not the antagonist, but keep an eye on your sister and husband. True. And then other people say, not the antagonist, but super suspicious, honestly. So a whole lot of people that want to jump on the boat of the decoy defense of, is OP's husband cheating on her, fixing a quote-unquote faucet, or is that, code words for back when I was growing up, there was like first base, second base, third base, and now is it like, okay, moving boxes to the basement, fixing the faucet, and now reupholstering the kitchen. Is that the new first base, third base? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if that's what's occurring right now, because I'm getting older and I don't know. But as always, if you enjoy the channel, make sure you subscribe down below, turn on those notifications to join that ever-coveted Decoy Koi Pond, and maybe you can earn yourself that Decoy Koi coin. But if nothing else, just go ahead and push a like on this video and check out one of the other videos I got in the library.